Hello, my name's Quaid McBean. I'm a student currently in the class of TRF-2820. This is the first assignment, and we were chosen to pick a spot where we would like to reclaim some turf that has recently been killed. First up, I'm the second assistant at Lakeside Greens Golf Club here in Chestermere, Alberta. So we've got all the same issue all these other southern Alberta courses do, such as the early snows and all the fun weather we've had this summer. Anyways, like I said, this is the video for the reclamation of turf. So the area I chose was pretty unique compared to other students. We have some pretty, I wouldn't say cool, because they're not that cool, but pretty unique issues and stuff that we have to overcome here due to just the type of soil we have and the water we have available to us. And yeah, it's something that we've dealt with for a long time here at Lakeside. Actually, my mentor and my head superintendent have been here over 20 years, so they know the property pretty well and have enlightened me on a lot of the issues that have been the same over the last 20 years. Anyways, I chose my reclamation area as our number one fairway. Reason I chose this is because it's been an issue here since I started. We resodded it my very first year, but we didn't really follow through all the way with it. We didn't add drainage, we didn't recap it with loam. We kind of just ripped it up and sodded over the same old crappy soil. But first off, just to give you some information, we have 11 ponds on our course. And we also are right next to Chestermere Lake, which is a WID reservoir lake for all the farmers and irrigation, all that, which we also draw our irrigation water from. Due to that and all the water out here, we have a pretty high water table, and we have a very, very clay-based property, which is very unfortunate because it's basically like a big swimming pool in some of these fairways. With the clay and all that, we have a bedrock layer under the clay, and every time with our high water table, we'll get the salt actually come up, the alkali come up from the bedrock through the clay, and it'll actually sit on our fairways sometimes. It's crazy. In the springtime, you'll come out and the grass actually has white tips on it from all the alkali and salts. It's a funny thing. It's, the foxtail and that grows fine in it, but our Kentucky bluegrass struggles pretty good with it, unfortunately. And the two bad spots on this course are number 1 and number 5 fairway, obviously right in the landing areas. Where else would they be? But they talked about priority in this assignment. This project and probably number 5 would take priority over most, just because it's right in the landing area, it's right in the middle of the fairway. No one wants to hit a good shot and get penalized by hitting a good shot in the middle of the fairway and being in dead turf, right? So this area takes priority most over that way, and I chose this over number 5 just because it's the first hole. First impressions. Nobody wants to play the golf course and have a crappy first experience from the first hole, so that's why I chose this. Anyways, I'll give you a quick look at the reclamation area. So I'll turn my phone around and give you a quick look. So that's the green up there. I'm standing at about probably the 60-70 marker yardage. It's a par 4. It's 384 yards. The tees are back there. And as you can see, the reclamation area kind of starts right back here. There's some there, all the way from about the 120 yard marker to about the 60 yard marker. It's funny, I'll actually show you here. You can actually see the sod line from when we sodded it about 6-7 years ago. It's crazy how you can still see this stuff. It's very faint, but right about there, you can see we sodded it all the way up to just about the collar on the green. So what I wanted to talk about on this video is some of our solutions. So obviously for us, drainage is a huge thing. Getting that groundwater off this fairway, just getting it out of this area so we can actually grow some turf without it being saturated in water all the time. Second off is soil. You know, our soil is so crappy in this area because it's been so saturated with salts and water, and it's just so hard and compact, it's crazy. So the next step would be recapping it with a loam type product that would be friendly for the sod to grow into, or seed for that matter. But anyways, some of the different topics and solutions we came up with are gridiron style drainage. As you can see, we have a pond right there to the left side of our hole, so we can run drainage straight into that pond to get the water off this hole. That's one lucky thing. It's not like we're in the middle of a bowl here where there's nowhere for the water to go. But the main issue is the slope of the fairway. You know, from all these dead turf spots and alkali areas, we've actually got pits in the fairway. As you can see, it's just absolutely crazy. You can actually see some of the salt on the ground. It's crazy. But yeah, it's like big holes and potholes in the fairway. So the big thing, what we would do is we would start to re-slope this fairway, and we'd re-slope it right to left. So we'd want the slope going towards the pond to get that water away from it. Another great thing would be deep tine aeration. We've actually deep tined this hole twice this year, from about the 150-yard marker up to here, just to get some, and then we've top dressed it pretty heavy just to get some sand down in that profile, you know, just to start to work it in. We do that probably about every year. We top dress it really heavy, brush it in after deep tine top dressing, just to get something down in that profile, somewhere for the roots and water to go. But next year, it's going to be a big project. It got away from us this year. We had a few other projects that happened over this, not by personal choice, but they ended up just happening. So next year, the plan is exactly what my plan is on my part A of my assignment. We're going to actually rip it up from the probably 130-yard marker all the way up to the probably 20-yard marker, and we're actually going to recap it with about 8 to 10 inches of loam, and we're going to completely drastically re-slope the fairway, just this area, because it wasn't sloped right from the beginning. So we need to come back in and, you know, take care of that. And then we're going to add some drainage. So this is actually new to me. I've never heard this type of drainage, but it's called deep trench drainage. We actually have it at the front 100 yards of the fairway, which is beyond me. I don't know why they didn't add it back in the approach area from the 150-yard marker in. But anyways, they took they rented a mini hoe, and they dug about a 1 foot wide trench, about 4 to 5 feet deep, right through the clay, right through all the crappy soil, and they actually added pea gravel to it, drainage wash gravel. And then they didn't line it with fabric or anything, and then they capped about probably the top 8 inches off with loam for the grass to grow into. The idea behind it is, for all the groundwater coming up, most golf courses have issue with water sitting on from rain and whatnot, so they'll sit down. But we'll actually have water come off the ground, and it'll come up and sit in the fairway. So the idea with these trenches is to start to get that groundwater to settle in those trenches, and then we'll dig those trenches straight into the pond and slope them that way, so it gets the groundwater out of here. Another option is that we've looked into is gridiron drainage, just